You're listening to the Sean Dillingham podcast.
Him, the man, the myth, coming from regions beyond.
Good to see you, Sean.
Good to see you, man. I love the background. Mine, do you like mine? Mine's prison gray.
No, it's very nice. It's stark. I like it.
County lockup.
Makes you pop real hard.
Hey, that's what she said. Listen, it looked great, man. I love the microphone.
Thanks, man.
Looks awesome. I have a very similar setup. So, Rich Baker, folks don't know you. I know you as one of my favorite instructors at Second City. Amazing man, amazing.
Thank
and
you. That means a lot.
So I want to hear all about the Rich Baker story because I know you from Second City. I know you from West Side Comedy.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica. Is that still here post pandemic?
Yeah. It survived the pandemic. It's going strong. I'm still performing there. It's doing really good.
Fantabulous. What's the name of that improv troupe with the white shirts, black ties? What's
Mission Improbable?
Mission Improbable. So, listen, I know you, but I'm going to give the audience the benefit of tell us the Rich Baker story. Actor, performer, improviser, instructor.
Yeah. Writer, for those watching, this is holding up a copy of my book, too, Improv Made Easier.
Oh, love it. Yeah, we'll push that. If you is that on Amazon, and where's that for sale?
Sir. Absolutely. Amazon, Kindle, and paperback. The story starts with a young, shy kid who liked to perform but didn't like to talk to people, who eventually had to overcome stage fright because I loved singing. And you mainly have to do that in front of people. So yeah. I forced myself to sing as a little kid, like 11, 12, and I'm super nervous. And then once I got kind of over the stage fright of singing, then I got into acting, which was a whole new set of stage fright. Mm-hmm. And I eventually did that in like plays and musicals and stuff. And then improv and stand-up was a whole new fear. And so just like any artist, my whole journey was like overcoming fear of different things as I went. I discovered improv in 1999, and I never looked back.
Was this in L.A.? Was this in California?
Nope, born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, my gosh. What prompted the move to California? Was it bigger dreams?
Yeah, well, the first move was Chicago.
There you go.
The reason was the troupe that originally trained me and got me interested in improv, 4-Day Weekend, who's still the longest running live show in Texas, longest running improv show in the state. Like they're a really cool troupe. And when I got done with their training center when I was a young, 20-something, I was like, now what? And they were like, well, we're not really hiring because they weren't like a big organization. They were just like the people who ran it also performed and everything. They said, we all trained in Chicago. You should go there. So that's why I moved up to the Midwest. Didn't know anybody, just me and a few people from college moved there together, a bunch of strangers. It was great.
Chicago, the epicenter of improv. I mean, my God, you have what? Second City, Improv Olympics, everything else. Did you study with all those?
Yep. It was just being like the Improv Olympic was just having to be called the IO because of that whole debacle at that time that I moved there. But yeah, I studied at IO, Second City. I played for both, taught for both, coached for both, Comedy Sport Chicago, a number of other theaters you probably haven't heard of, like Comedy Shrine and Laugh Out Loud and things like that.
Sure. And when you moved to California, was it to act, to do improv, all that, or was there an opportunity with Second City, or had that not even opened at that point? Second City Hollywood.
No, Second City Hollywood was open when I moved here in 2014, and I believe, if I know my history right, it was the second iteration. They'd had one in the 90s, it closed, and they opened up one in the 2000s. And the one that I was part of, Second City Hollywood, it's been closed since the pandemic and with no signs of reopening. So, but yeah, there was no, like, I got to kind of transfer.
Wait, the Second City Hollywood?
Yeah, it's gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. It was a loss. It still is. We still feel it, but they say that they're looking.
No plans to reopen it.
When they first closed it back in November of 2020, they put out a press release saying they were going to look for a space, and there has been absolutely no news on that front ever since.
That breaks my heart because God, I miss going up those stairs.
Yeah, and a lot of people, well, I mean, that building was problematic. There was no elevator, and there was a lot of issues with it, but a lot of people want it to come back, but I have no idea if it's ever gonna come back.
Well, and with the ability to do online classes, I mean, You can. It's not the same as in person, but
Sure.
yeah. And let me ask you this: did you have any experience with any of the other improv theaters in LA, Groundlings, UCB, any of those?
Not directly. I mean, I've seen shows at both of those, and I know friends at them, but I never studied with them personally.
I did a little with each, and
Mhm.
it kind of broke my heart. I'll be honest with you,
Oh,
because I found
yeah.
it very I don't want to say competitive, but
I
clicky.
think both words are accurate. And I mean, honestly, like, I could judge UCB or any of those places, but I mean, Second City in Chicago was as bad or worse than any of those places when I was there. And so was the IO, frankly. I mean, there was these theaters became institutions.
Yeah,
They became so big, flooded with so many students and press and people looking at them, that they just kind of all became these big machines, and the clickiness and the competitiveness just kind of bred from that.
yeah. Are you doing stuff currently with West Side? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still with Mission Improbable. We perform every Saturday. There's about 30 or so of us in the troupe, so each one of us gets about one show a
Wow.
month.
That's a huge group. Uh,
Yeah, well, the shows are only 5 people each, so
yeah.
we don't perform with all, but it's good for me because I only do one show a month, so that's like nice. I put in my time, and
And are you teaching out of there or where?
no, I used to teach out of the West Side a long time ago, but I just teach independently now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So that's Rich Baker improv. Now we're going to delve into two other things. Well, three. Personal Rich Baker, stand up, and actor.
Oh, thank you.
So your choice. What do you want to cover first?
Oh, we can cover stand up because
Let's
that's
do it.
relatively easy. I started doing stand up in Dallas in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
If you know, like Cristela Alonso,
Sure.
who's probably the biggest name that came out of there, her and I were doing open mics at the same time. She obviously stuck with it and became who she was. But I was like, oh, I used to know her when she was, workshopping shit. Like, it was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did stand up for a while in Dallas, and I loved it. And then when I moved to Chicago, I kind of stepped away from it and then got back into it. And I did a little bit of like professional stand up, but for the most part, it was just mostly amateur stuff. And I coach stand ups now. I love coaching it. And one day I'd like to get back into it. But as you know, stand up just takes up. If you want to do it well, you got to really devote your time to stand up. And I
Hey,
just haven't
listen.
had the.
Do not get me started on stand up. You are. I'm a guy that I went through those trenches, and I'm like an abused dog that only bites now when you talk about that
Oh,
subject. So I did not have good. Doesn't matter. We're talking
it's a
about
rough
Rich
world.
Baker. Doesn't
It's a
matter. We're not
rough
talking
world.
about me. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm curious to get your take on it. Um, because now that I'm out of it,
Mm.
uh, improv is tough, but stand up in this day and age of political correctness. I mean, I won't even say that. I'll just say political correctness gone extreme,
Sure.
wokeness, triggering everything that. And I've seen videos where they're at stand up shows and people are standing up in the audience going, "Excuse me, sir,
Yeah.
that offends me." And
Yeah.
it's like the Donahue show. This is public
Yeah.
debate. How do you Donahue show? God, did I just date myself there? Hi, is the caller there? Go.
Cutting edge references, Sean. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Phil Donahue. Oh man, and that Spiro T.
Broker.
Agnew. Let me talk about
Well,
him for a
you're a
minute.
Chicago guy. That's why that was funny. So
No, I
let me.
appreciate it.
So how do you stand up nowadays? Wokeness, improv. I would think improv is tough because you go with your gut, but
Mhm.
you got to filter everything. Like, how are they going to take this? I can't do this. I can't do that. What's
So
your
yeah,
take?
I'll just speak to comedy in general because I think it doesn't matter whether you're doing stand up or improv or sketch. Like this is a real thing that we all kind of have to deal with. And at no point in anyone's improv were they completely governor free. At no point was anyone like, yeah, I just felt like doing a joke about like murdering a bunch of babies or something. It's like we've all had limits. And so to say that you've got like limits in your improv, your comedy, or whatever, it's like, yeah, we always have. It's just these seem to be a little more prominent. And I
Mhm.
tell all my students the same thing. I'm like, they read the room. If you're George Carlin, rest in peace, and you're doing the George Carlin tour. If someone shows up and gets offended, that's on them. They should have Googled you, right?
Sure.
But if you're just some stand-up and they came to see a bunch of stand-ups, read the room. Like, are they going to turn on you? And I mean, do you want that? Some stand-ups want to be antagonistic, and that's fine. But like, just know, like, oh, I'm playing to a bunch of young 20-somethings who have no nuance. Or, I'm playing to, the South, who's very, or whatever, it doesn't matter. And just read the room.
I'm in prison, and I shouldn't be breaking out a bunch of, hey, let me tell you why it's great to be free jokes. and okay, so that's stand up. So you never aspire to tour, or you were just like, I did it and I got the skill, and
I put together a full hour set, and I recorded it, and I did a show. Like, I rented out a theater and, just basically packed it with all my friends and did it. And I used that tape to try and see if I could get an agent to go on tour and stuff. And it just didn't happen. And I'm sure I could have made it over time, but it was one of those things where I kind of had other things that I wanted to do. So I just put stand up on the shelf.
It's a tough lifestyle. And I tell people that about acting all the time, because I've transitioned to a full-time actor, working actor. It's a gypsy lifestyle.
Yeah.
You're never going to act in the same place. I just got back from San Diego. I'm going to Utah next. I'm going to San Francisco. You better be prepared and I can say this about acting, at least you make better money. You got people paying for your travel, putting you up in hotels, paying you thousands, as opposed to stand up where they're like, you got a gig in El Centro on Wednesday. It pays $75.
Yeah, for real. 100%. Like, that's not even hyperbole.
It's a tough, I don't know how you have a relationship in stand-up, because one night you're in El Centro.
I don't know how you pay your bills doing stand-up.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys living out of their cars because they're driven by that dream so much. But it's like, at the end of the month, all right, you made $480. Good luck with that. Because gas is $500.
if you knew that putting in the time after X number of years or whatever, you would become a success, like, that'd be one thing. But you have I know you and I both know extremely funny people that have never made it for no reason we can assess, right?
Yeah, road dogs, guys that are just. I used to book guys that, on shows that started stand up in the 70s, and I mean early 70s.
Yeah.
That now it's the 2000s. And not only is this what they're doing for a living, but they're doing the same act.
Same stuff, yeah.
I had one guy on stage that I swear, Rich, was doing Nixon jokes. And he was doing Sammy Davis Jr. references. And he was like, I remember one time I was on Welcome Back, Kotter, and the audience was like, what the hell is Welcome Back, Kotter? I was like,
make your Donahue reference seem cutting edge.
I know. It's like, dude, did you just do a John Boy reference? What are you talking about, man?
Oh my god!
Update that.
This new thing, TV dinners, eh?
So there's this new thing called a microwave. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah, these guys, but that's the thing with stand-ups. You work hard to develop an act, and then it works, and you're like, it ain't broke. I'm not fixing it.
I don't know if you've ever done this circuit, but when I worked on the cruise ships, I met a lot of stand-ups, and not all of them were like this, but definitely some of them fit that exact description where it's like, I don't think you've updated this set since 1983.
Never did the cruise ships, never aspired to it. I heard a horror story from a headliner once about cruise ships, which made me just go, that's to be avoided. That this particular one, and most are Disney clean. They don't want to offend their guests. And there was a guy who was doing a week, and it was the first night of a week-long gig. And cruise ships pay $5-7 grand or more for a week. And depending on the line, I mean, some lines you can even more. First night, first show, dropped the F-bomb. The next day, they flew a helicopter onto the ship and got him and said, here's your check. Bye-bye.
This was Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah. Disney, you can't even, You can't even say
and they
hell.
said, Saturday night, you can do a midnight late show, adults only. We'll bill it as such. But it was just like, nope, that's it. Done. Out.
So I did mostly improv and sketch on the cruise ships, but I did do stand-up a couple of times for the actual passengers, because over the years that I worked on it, there was some random times where we really, someone didn't show up. We need, entertainment, on a night or whatever. And I would volunteer, I'll do stand up. And I did pretty well. But I had this one joke where I use the word pedophile. It's not about pedophilia or anything. I just use the word, and that I got like 20 complaints, and I could never do stand up on the. They're like, stick to sketch and improv. I'm like, I told him the whole joke. I was like, you weren't there. Here's the whole joke, and he goes, yep, that's not offensive at all. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. The word
doesn't matter.
No, I had a similar. Almost a foreshadowing of things to come. I was playing a college. And I sat down with, and I always love, when you're 40 and a 20-year-old sits you down to tell you how it's going to be. I'm like, I got shoes older than you, but go ahead. So they sit me down and they're like, so, what's your act? And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to say because I do a lot of stuff. I, improvise and I props and music, kind of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. Don't talk about men. Don't talk about women. Don't talk about sexual lifestyle. Don't talk about religion. And I go, wait, like 5 or 6. And I go, hold it, stop. Listen, comedy is essentially making fun of something.
Sure.
Whether it's myself or something else. Sure. So allow me the leeway to feel out the audience. If they boo or groan, I will know. I'll hear and I will know. Stay away from that subject. But sure, God, what do you want me to do? Go up there and do combative poetry? You've just said, don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. No. I'm like, come on.
Just all mime.
It was actually a great show after that. The audience was right with it, but this particular coordinator was so scared of everything. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. And I was like, whoa.
I feel like especially at the college level, and I toured colleges a bunch, but even on the corporate level and other levels as well, like the people who are the most fastidious about how they want to control your show, usually those are the best shows. Yeah. Like I don't know why that correlates, but it usually does.
And so, okay, so tell me about Rich Baker, acting endeavors.
Yeah, I was as a little kid, I just like it was just always what I wanted to do. Everyone on the TV, I wanted to be them. My heroes was Cheers, The Cosby Show. Like I'm dating myself, but even as a little kid, I was just like that. I want that.
Yeah.
So my first foray into like actual acting was via musicals because I was a singer, and so I was like, okay, this is a transition. And once I did the musicals, I was like, let me try it without the music. And I did a couple plays in high school, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
And I thought once I discovered improv, that would be my backdoor into acting, that I would do the Steve Carell route or whatever, having no idea how nuanced his career was and how much luck and, all these other things. But, I was just like, I'll do that. So I got into improv and, scripted acting at the same time. I would always do plays and stuff, and I'd audition, do little, short films or student films or different things like that. Mm-hmm. Improv always eclipsed it because there was so much more that I could do with improv than because I was just lazy, and acting takes work. Yeah. Improv takes work too.
Let me ask you this. Was there one pivotal moment for you? And I'll give you an example. Mine was, I'm 8 years old. I saw Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain. And I was like, I was painfully shy. and I was like, that's what I want to do. Got into school plays, community theater. Didn't pursue theater because I was like, this is too much rehearsal, not enough performance. Which subsequently, which is why I got it. I was like, 2 months of rehearsal, 1 month of performance. This is killing me. This is not fun. And that's why I graduated into improv. What about for you? Any particular moment where you were like, here is my course?
I mean, there was so many movies and everything I like. I liked all the classics and everything, but I think that the time for me, from the first play I did, I had to play like the romantic interest, and I was a shy kid, awkward. I hadn't done anything with girls yet. I was 14, but on stage I could become this kind of smooth, like, alpha male character that was so different from me. And once I did that, I was like, I can be not me. That's and me, be a good version of me, not me. And that's really what did it for me. Is like I loved the idea of playing people who were better at me at things that I couldn't do.
I was very similar, because I was like, I don't have to be scared on stage. I'm not shy because this isn't me. I'm being that guy. Yeah, I'm being that thing. And so, do you have a love? Do you have? Is it live theater? Is it? Obviously improv, you're so good at it, but is it stage performing? television, commercial, film? Do you have a preference?
I mean, I think the thing that I love to do the most is probably just the thing that is the most rare for me is acting on camera, which I've done plenty of. But I mean, it's as you know, like more. Like
Yeah.
I love doing something and then seeing it put together afterwards and go, oh, here's how I contributed to this larger thing. And I love the pressure of we get 3 takes, 4 takes, maybe. If you're in a Clint Eastwood film, you're lucky enough that you get 1 take, right? And it's
He's like, we got it. We'll fix it in post.
yeah. And I kind of love that pressure of you got to bring it right now, or else everyone else is going to be disappointed.
Are you fascinated by how much it's changed? When I started commercial television film, you're talking 89, 90, where cameras were the size of ottomans on people's shoulders. And now I've done things. I've shown up to shoots where it's like a guy with what looks like just a Nikon camera. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we shooting? This is it. I'm like, you're shitting me. And we film it. And I'm like, I write it off. I'm like, this is going to be just a dumpster fire. And then I see it and I'm like, my God, the magic truly happens in post. What about you? Are you fascinated by that?
Absolutely. Well, I heard a story with Steve Carell. His first role was a non-speaking role in a movie, Curly Sue. I don't know if you remember, from the late 90s.
Sure,
and,
Belushi.
he talked about how he had a non-speaking role as a waiter, and he was on set for 3 days. And now you could have a page dialogue and be on set for half a day, right?
Yeah.
Because things have to go faster and faster and faster. Cameras are smaller, great, but we got to go. We got budgets. Everything is tighter now. I feel like, I missed that era of filmmaking when it was like, oh, we're just going to take our time and make sure we get it right. And now it's, run and gun, even on the highest professional shoots.
Yeah. Any career highlights at this point? Things that you're like, wow, I can't. That was amazing that I was on this, or that was a great experience.
Yeah, as an actor, the biggest thing I ever did was this viral video, and it was just a voiceover, so you never see me in it, and I'm doing like a character voice. So it's funny, when it came out, it became it was like 30 million views or something, and people would send it to me saying, "Have you seen this? It's hilarious." And I go, "Yeah, I narrate. That's my voice." It's called Jim Wildlife. I'll send it to you after this, but it's
okay.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just like what you're talking about with that small camera. When I recorded it, I thought, no one's gonna watch this, no one's gonna like it. Not because it's not funny, because it's 6 minutes long, and I'm like, nothing goes viral that's 6 minutes long. And then 30 million, and the guy, I was recording it in the guy's bedroom in his parents' house. Like they'd already shot it, they already had it narrated, and he didn't like the narrator, and he'd worked with me on an independent film, so he brought me in, and I literally thought about not doing it. I was like, this sounds like bullshit, but I did it anyway, and 30 million views later, I'm like, this is literally the more people have seen this than anything I've ever done.
Listen, I used to, it's amazing to see how it evolves, because prior, you would put something on Facebook and Instagram and you would be like, I got 165 views. I'm telling you. And then YouTube, and you're like, that thing got 1,400 views. Now it's evolved with TikTok, where you're like, this thing has 600,000 views. What the hell? Yeah. It's amazing to see. Are you on the TikTok?
I'm not on the TikTok. I when people send me like things, I'll watch it, but I refuse to download it because I'll probably never leave it if I just scroll forever.
It can be addictive. I'm on it. I've done a lot of comedy recreation scenes. Nice. Steve Martin, John Candy, things like that, and I'm at about 100,000 followers, a couple of million views. It's amazing, man. I mean, I encourage you as a performer. It blows up. I mean, I did one Chris Farley thing, and I was just like, this thing got 2 million views. Are you shitting me?
Wow.
So yeah, it's nice to see too, because we live in an age now where if you're a performer, you have so many avenues to get yourself and your performance out there. Yeah. Not just social media, but all these video apps and sites.
Yeah. And, honestly, it's, used to, it was all about, do the TV networks watch you? And now it's like, you've got people who get more views than the TV networks on something, and the TV networks have never even heard of you. And you're like, who cares? I don't need you. I've got this or whatever.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Any close calls for you? And this is what I mean. I have done. I'm actually more proud of some of the things that I auditioned for and didn't get. Like, I've auditioned for things with I auditioned for the movie Vice with Christian Bale, Sam Rockwell, and all that. Didn't get it, but I was like, I can't believe I got to read for that. It was
That's
amazing. I
awesome.
read for the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, which I didn't know because they had put it under like Swan Song. That was the name of the working title. And then it came out, El Camino under the working name Swan Song. And I was like, if I had known, I would have tried harder. But anything like that you've experienced that you were like, man.
I mean, I auditioned for a few things, like a couple of Vince Vaughn movies back in Chicago, and a couple things where if I had gotten it, it would have maybe been a big deal. But the thing that I think was the biggest missed call for me is when I first got to LA, I booked a pilot right away. And when I say booked a pilot, what I thought that meant was, this is pretty much ready to go. They're just looking for actors. And what it wound up being was a very talented writer who you've never heard of, wrote a very good pilot and was casting it to shoot a video to put it on, a Kickstarter to try and raise the money to film the whole pilot. And that never wound up happening. And he tried to sell it for years and it never wound up happening. And it just was disappointing to me on so many levels because, one, the character was just fit me so well. And it was a really good pilot. I've read a ton of scripts since I've been in LA, and as you know, a lot of them are bad. And this one was really good, and he just could never figure out how to sell it. And he moved back to upstate New York, and he's doing his thing, and he stopped writing, and it was just like I found this perfect role, and I could see it on TV. I could see this being like a beloved character, and it just didn't happen.
I've been involved with a couple of things. There was one that was again a pilot that kind of a time traveling newscast that was fun, and it should have been on television. Another one was it was like a traveling, let's go check out these small like ghost towns and people that study UFOs, and I hosted it, and it was long before Discovery and Dirty Jobs and all the stuff that's prevalent on television now. And they shot the pilot, never pursued it. And they put it in like television festivals. It won everything, but they never pursued it.
Isn't that crazy? Like, that's kind of been the biggest wake up call in my career, is that content is not like a meritocracy. Like, you could write the best pilot or you could give the best performance, and that's cool, but that does not necessarily mean you'll get the job, doesn't mean you'll sell the script, doesn't mean anything.
No, and maybe it's just that people go, I had this idea, I did it. It came to fruition. That's it. I guess that's why they tell filmmakers. And if you never heard this, for people who are listening, they always say, don't make a trailer. Don't make a trailer. You know why? Because if you make the trailer, you'll never make the film. Because you're in your vision of what you see this as, you'll put in the trailer and you'll go, there. It's done. I did it. I saw it.
Done. Yeah.
And they never finish it. They do a trailer and they're like, yeah, look good, man. On to the next.
I feel, Well, and it takes so much to make a thing. Like I produced this web series, Third Shift, me and my partner, we wrote it, produced it, starred in everything. And we're very proud of it. It did very well in a lot of the festivals and whatnot. And people are like, what are you new season 2? And we're like, that was a lot of work, man. I don't know.
It is. It's tough, man. It's a grind. It is a grind, man. So, and Rich Baker, personal life. What's the personal life?
Oh God, I not much. As a, I'm one of those people like that turns every hobby into a job or lets it go. But what I try and do is devote some time to playing guitar or playing with my dog or like reading science articles or reading fantasy books. Those are kind of my little outlets.
Yeah.
There.
Quiet off stage, not the performer, and just kind of do your thing. Yeah.
I'm single. I live alone. I don't have much of like a personal life to, I have friends, but it's standard.
What part of LA you living in?
I'm in Los Feliz, which for those that anyone doesn't know, it borders Hollywood on the east side.
Okay,
so.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah. A lot of serial killers in Los Feliz, FYI. A lot of
but the palm trees are beautiful.
How's life in Los Angeles now? Is it as post-apocalyptic as it appears on the television, or?
No, God, no. Anytime my mom watches the news, and I swear the news in Texas makes LA sound like a. It's fine here. Everything's fine. There's nothing. Like there's too much homelessness, but that's been true for years.
Sure.
You know, there's too much traffic, also been true for decades. Like it's fine. It's LA. I'm very lucky because ever since I started teaching independently and all my classes are online, so I don't leave my apartment near as often as I used to. I don't have to get out in traffic as much. So I'm doing the cheaters LA.
What anything going on or coming up that you want to talk about or plug?
A great question. I do a show once a month here in LA called Monologues and Mayhem. It's the first Monday of the month at the Glendale Room. That's if anyone is in LA on the first Monday of the month, please come check us out. It's a lot of fun. It's in Armando. You know, we get a different storyteller and different cast every time.
West Side.
No, it's the Glendale Room.
No,
It's
but
a
are you
new-
doing a monthly show at West Side or no?
Oh yeah, and but that's haphazard. Like I don't know when it's gonna be, but like so this month in September, I have the last Saturday of the month. That's what I'm doing, and then we'll get our October schedule later. So
Wonderful.
If you want to see Mission Improbable any night of the weeks, anytime you see it's gonna be great because all the cast members are great. But if you want to see me, you'd have to follow me on Instagram or subscribe to my newsletter to know when I'm doing it.
And that's the next thing I'm gonna ask. Plug the social media where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can take classes with you.
Thank you so much. The best way to follow me is richbaker.taplink.ws, and that's like a running list. It's like a link tree. It's just a running list of links. But you can follow me at Rich Baker Coaching on Instagram or Facebook. And from both of those, you can click on my bio and get to all my links, and you can sign up for my email blast, which I do twice a month. I try not to over email people. I hate getting over emails, so twice a month, just what's going on, no big deal kind of thing. And I think that's basically it.
Beautiful. Rich Baker, thanks for being here. You
John
are
Dillingham,
a pleasure.
thank you so much for having me.
So glad to have you on. So glad I met you. So glad I got to work with you at Second City. I'm heartbroken that it's gone, but you're here, you remain, and that's what's important. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich Baker, follow him. You will learn so much and enjoy this man. Rich Baker.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Sean Dillingham podcast. For more information or questions, you can always visit www.seandillingham.com.